Thank you so much, Senator Flake. Now, before I introduce Walmart's Sarah Thorn to present the coveted Lighthouse Award, I want to take a pause to remember that prom nights are for romance. And nothing is more romantic than Valentine's. Now, many of us who thrive on trade nerd humor were validated and perhaps just a slightly bit too giddy in February when hashtag Trade Valentines began to trend. Now, since I do have a date tonight, unlike in high school, I'd like to kick off with the Trade Valentine that I wrote for my husband, who's sitting at our table right over there. While multilateral deals bring bigger rewards, our bilateral accord safeguards my heart. But other good ones on Twitter that I did not write include, "You're far away. I might need a freight carrier, but the fact that you don't like me's the biggest non-tariff barrier." "Stealing our jobs? No, you're stealing my heart. With your cheap guacamole, I could not bear to part. My love for you burns so hot, it's combustible." This one's for you, Sarah. "But you toy with me, leaving me border adjustable. You're looking so fine, I think of you frequent, so please let me give you some national treatment." Sarah Thorn is Senior Director for Global Government Affairs at Walmart, where she focuses primarily on international trade policy, not poem writing, as well as women's empowerment. A veteran trade warrior and policy hand, she is absolutely no stranger to this crowd as a longtime member of the WITA board. Sarah.
You know, I always have Bill to compete with, and now I have Kellie to compete with, and I'm not sure what to do. And you will notice that I am somewhat dateless. My sweet husband is here, but my longtime partner in crime, Bill Lane, is happily retired and happily on the shores somewhere in Hilton Head. So I'm going to try to do this alone. We'll see how it goes. I know some of you sort of cringe watch when we do this in the past, so you can't now. You have to actually listen to me. But this actually, all kidding aside, the Lighthouse Award is my favorite part of the prom. And it's wonderful because we get to honor one of our own. And in the past, you know, the reason for the Lighthouse was very much about the great lighthouse of Alexandria, somebody who shines the light of everyone. And over the course of the Lighthouse, we've sort of said, you know what, maybe we should shine a light on folks that toil away on trade, that don't get all the recognition that they need, but are real warriors for trade. And I kind of think right now, that's who we should be celebrating. People who are doing the hard work, who are there every day, who believe in trade, and are there consistently. And sort of in the theme of Back to the Future, I was struck when NPR tweeted the Declaration of Independence, and you all know what happened, but, you know, in the list of the grievances, one of the grievances is on trade, and it says, you know, the king has determined to cut off our trade with all parts of the world, sort of suggesting that, you know, this sort of Back to the Future of trade grievances is not all that new, but this country actually went to war partly for the ability to trade. And so that's why we need trade warriors, and that's why we need people in the trenches thinking about trade, doing the right thing, and actually thinking about how trade benefits consumers and workers around the world. So tonight's honoree has a hand in all of these areas, has worked in all of these acronyms: NAFTA, GSP, China PNTR, TPA, Andean. The awardees worked on the Hill, USTR, a think tank, business association, independent agency. The person is comfortable with the Swiss formula and ADCVD. I know, right? Swiss formula, got it in there. But, you know, more importantly, I think this awardee has been unfailingly kind and approachable in their work. I talked to a former colleague who said that this person is the sweetest person in the world, but tough as nails underneath. And that's how a warrior should be. So, I said I was going to do this alone, but it feels kind of strange. So I was thinking maybe a former colleague could come up, say talk a little bit more about this awardee and present the award. And I don't know if I see her, but I wondered if Angela Ellard could come up for a few minutes and present the award and say a few remarks.
Well, this is really fun, I have to say.
I need a wingman.
I have to say that it's really quite an honor to be here to spill the beans a little bit about who this person is. This person is an old friend, a former colleague. My very first day on the Hill, which was a long time ago, our honoree gave me a big hug and said, "I'm so glad you're here." That's the one thing that I remember about that day, so long ago. And as Sarah said, since then, she, oops, it had to come out sooner or later, worked in the administration, a think tank, an independent agency. I don't know if light bulbs are going off yet. But what is so impressive about her is that not only is she a very substantive person, very policy-oriented, she thinks about all of the people behind the particular problem that she's working on. So Sarah mentioned GSP, the Andean Trade Preferences Act, some of the other things that she's worked on. And she always brought to the table, not just kind of the big corporate view, but, who actually is benefiting from these programs. And I always learned from that, and I thought that was a tremendous example. And she's always worked on a very bipartisan basis, bringing excellence to the table and a lot of creativity. But she's also a tremendous mentor, and I think in her current position, she's really exhibited that in working for an independent agency, just making sure that the people who work for her are cared for, and that she has created a good home for them. On a personal level, she also is incredibly impressive. She was extremely dedicated to her husband, her great love, her high school sweetheart, and of course to her two sons, who are brilliant and grounded and poised because of all that she and her husband taught them. So there's not enough great things to say. So without further ado, we're presenting the Lighthouse Award tonight to Meredith Broadbent.
Oh, my tremendous, I love him. Thank you so much. Well, this is an interesting experience to have. Suddenly you're sitting there thinking, I might know this person. I don't know. I just say thank you for these people that I respected all my life and have just learned so much from, and just all my friends here in this room that have just really stuck by me, and I appreciate it. And love you guys, and just thank you very much.
Did you get a picture? I want to get a picture of the three of you together. Step over to the side a little closer.